friends, it's been 3 years since I got my Tesla Model Y and today I'm spilling the tea. The things that I love about it and the things that I hate, so you'll be able to make up your own mind about whether it's right for you. Plus, we'll even take a peek at the new Model Y and compare it to this version to see what's different. So we'll really be able to see how this EV holds up with real world use. And if you are new here, hi, I'm Queenie and I'm a licensed personal finance creator and I'm here to help make your money go further. So if you're interested in this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe. So first off, let's talk about charging. I usually just plug in my car whenever I get home, so that way it's always fully charged. A full charge from 0 to 100% only costs me $5, and this gives me around 450 kilometers of range. I recently changed my electricity to Origin Energy, and by the way, this is not sponsored, they just have a really good deal if you have an EV. And this is how I can fully charge my car for only $5. You can also see on the Origin app just how much money you're saving, which is a really cool feature. And before moving to them, I was paying around $16 for a full charge. In terms of how long it takes, at home with a normal power point, it takes around 30 hours for a full charge. But if you really want a quicker charge, you can install a Type 2 charger in your home, so then it will only take 6 hours for a full charge from 0 to 100%. But as mentioned before, I always just plug in my car whenever I get home, so that way it's always fully charged anyway. By the way, the new Teslas can actually be charged to 100%. In the past, some of the older models, you couldn't really charge it to 100% without it degrading the battery, but thankfully that's not the case anymore. And if you go to a Tesla supercharger, these are the fastest chargers by far, and they can charge your car from 0 to 100% in around 40 minutes. But something to be mindful of is these really super fast chargers, while they are really quick, if you do use them all the time, they're not that great for the battery. So it's ideal for a top-up only. Tesla superchargers and other fast chargers are also more expensive than charging it at home. And by the way, if you are looking at getting a Tesla, I have put my referral link down in the description below where you can get $350 off a new Tesla, and I'll also get a kickback too, so you'll be supporting my content and I would really appreciate it. And as mentioned before, I always really have battery on my car anyway, because whenever I get home, I just plug it in. So I only really need to use Tesla superchargers when I'm doing a road trip and I just need to top up my battery a bit. On the Tesla map, you can actually see where all the Tesla superchargers are. And if you are doing a road trip, it can actually show you where the Tesla superchargers are on the way throughout your road trip. So that way, if you are doing a long road trip, you know where you can stop along the way. And the good thing about using the Tesla map, which can show you where the superchargers is, it can also precondition your battery to charge, which means it just gets your battery ready to accept that really fast charge, which also makes it a bit easier on the battery. There are quite a lot of really fast chargers in Australia. There's the Tesla superchargers, as we've mentioned. There are also EV chargers, NRMA chargers, ChargeFox, Jolt, and more. A lot of these other superchargers are generally cheaper than Tesla, but they are a little bit more slow. Plus, the really great thing about having a Tesla is it does have that giant screen, so you can even watch YouTube videos while you are charging your car. Another thing to note is with some of the non-Tesla chargers, with some of them you may need to bring your own cable, and this would usually be a Type 2 cable that doesn't come with the car, so that's something to be mindful of. So here are some of the key points on the different chargers that are available. Tesla superchargers are still one of the fastest and most convenient ways to charge your car when you're out on the road, although these can generally be more expensive. It's also really easy to charge your car when you have a Tesla and you're at a Tesla supercharger, because all you really need to do is, since you have the app installed, you just need to plug in your car to this Tesla supercharger and it automatically knows that your car is plugged in with the Tesla supercharger, and it automatically deducts the money from your Tesla account. With the other chargers that I have mentioned, you would need to download the app for these different chargers and then manage the payments through that. Overall, my second favorite charger would be the EV charging network, because it is quite reliable and they also do have really fast chargers available there too, followed by ChargeFox and Jolt, although I haven't tried the NRMA chargers yet. And by the way, if you are looking to buy a new Tesla, you can use my link down in the description below. You'll get $300 off the new model, and I'll also get a kickback too, and you will be supporting my content, so I'd really appreciate it. Another really amazing thing about having an EV is you do get all of these extra parking spots around the city, especially if you do already need to charge your car. One amazing place that we love to go is going to the beach now that it is summer, and there is this amazing parking spot where we can just park our car and then charge our car, especially since this beach is quite busy and there isn't a lot of parking available. Also, some shopping centres do offer free charging, which is another really great perk. Before we moved, we used to live in an apartment, and unfortunately in this apartment there was nowhere to charge our car, so we would often have to go to to shopping centres in order to charge our car in Tesla superchargers. But there are quite a few shopping centres that do offer free charging, and we would often just park our car there and then just get a top up on our battery while we go shopping. The only thing about this is sometimes this parking lot would get quite full, especially on the weekends. And to be honest, living in that apartment and not being able to charge our car every night was a bit of a hassle, because your car can quickly run out of battery if you haven't been charging it pretty much every night or every second night. So I'm super grateful that we do have a place to charge our car really easily. Another really great app that you can use to find chargers around you is PlugShare, and you can see all of the chargers and the speed around you and the different availabilities, because sometimes the Tesla map doesn't show you every single charger available, so this app is really good for that. Another great app that you can use when you are planning your road trips is a better route planner, where you can see all of the places that you can stop along the way throughout your road trip. So that's what it's like charging a Tesla, and to be honest, I do prefer it to a normal petrol car because, as mentioned, my car is already mostly from 90 to 100% battery anyway, so I very rarely need to charge it outside of our home. But even when I do need to charge it, there are so many different chargers available with different speeds, so it's really easy to find one that works for you. The only time when it can get slightly more challenging is when you're doing a long road trip, but even then there are so many different charging spots along the way, and if you're doing a really long road trip, you probably need to break up your trip anyway and stop somewhere for a bathroom break or maybe to grab a bite to eat. So having a Tesla and charging your car, it doesn't really stop you from, still being able to do those road trips anyway. So I still love the road trips, even though sometimes you do need to wait slightly longer to wait for your car to charge. It's still a really great experience overall. One of my favorite features about this car is just how much boot space there is, especially as new parents. You can really easily fit a pram, you can fit beach stuff, a cool cabana, like pretty much you name it. So something that I really love about this car is the glass roof. It's really nice because it does give that spaceship vibe. The only downside though is it can get quite hot in summer, especially in Australia, so we do have a cover for the car, but I still really love the sunroof. I also really love the app because you never have to worry about bringing car keys ever again, because you just need to bring your phone and that's the way that you unlock your car. Autopilot and driving assist is really handy, especially on busy highways. It's kind of like having a co-pilot that never gets tired. That said though, it isn't quite perfect and you always need to keep your hands on the steering wheel in case you need to make adjustments. One of my favorite features about this car is Sentry mode. So whenever I need to park my car somewhere, I don't have to worry, because if something happens, if someone goes a little bit too close to your car, it will start recording them. And if anyone bumps into you, it will also record all of those things as well. This is really handy and gives you so much peace of mind, especially if you do have your car parked outside. There have also been some crazy moments captured on Tesla Sentry mode, like there was a kangaroo picking at the car. There were even some times when people would purposely key Teslas and those people would be identified because Teslas have Sentry modes. So yeah, it's a really great feature. Most of the time though, it's probably just people trying to get into their car and maybe they've parked a bit close to you, so they're just trying to get into their car. I also love the seamless and minimalist design of the Tesla, especially when it comes to the air conditioning, because in the past they have those kind of like circular units where you have to kind of twist the little nozzle to make sure that you have the correct airflow. In a Tesla though, it's just seamless. It's just like across the dashboard and then the airflow comes out, and then you can select on the screen where you would like the airflow to go. Would you like it to go higher or lower? Would you like more airflow on your feet, etc. And now on to the maintenance costs. So far the cost of maintaining my Tesla has been $0, which has been absolutely amazing. I haven't needed any major maintenance and even the tires are in really good shape. Another thing to note is that EVs are generally heavier than petrol cars, so you may need to replace your tires slightly more often than a petrol car. Another huge plus is the regenerative braking. This basically means that I hardly need to use the brakes whenever I am driving the car. So essentially you just take your foot off the accelerator and then your car comes to a slow stop. This also reduces the wear and tear on the brakes, and it also recharges the battery at the same time. And it's one of those features that makes Teslas a really great practical solution over the long term. The great thing about having an EV is they have about 60% less moving parts than a normal ICE car. So this means that there are way less things that you need to worry about maintaining. So you don't need to get oil changes or any typical engine repairs. The average servicing cost would be around $200 per year for tyre rotations and software updates. Even though Teslas and EVs have less moving parts than an ICE car, they still do need to be maintained, and it is still important to go and get your servicing checkups just to make sure everything's in order. But this is typically less than what you would need if you had a normal ICE car. And before we jump into the battery health, I would love to know if you have had any experience with Teslas or EVs down in the comments below. What do you think of them? What are some things that you love about them and some things that you don't like about them? I would love to hear from you. So whenever I post a Tesla video, one of my top comments is always something about the battery health and how batteries degrade. And I'm here to show you all of the information. And something else that's really interesting about Teslas is you can actually go into your settings and you can actually see what your battery health is. So we had a look in our Tesla. Our Tesla is now 3 years old. And what we found is that our battery health is at 98%, which is really amazing. There's also an 8-year warranty on the Tesla batteries, or up to 160,000 kilometers, whichever one comes first. So if your battery drops below the 70% retention rate, then Tesla will replace your battery. And just for context, 160,000 kilometers is a really long way. For context, our last car was 20 years old and it did not even get to 180,000 kilometers. So it is very likely that your battery will outlive your car. A lot of people like to spread a lot of fear that you have to replace your EV battery, which isn't necessarily true. I actually recently went to an EV event in Sydney and I met a Tesla owner who has had his Tesla for over 7 years, and he's also clocked over 200,000 kilometers on his Tesla. So I asked him in this interview what his experiences have been like with his Tesla and what his battery degradation is like. And the results are honestly pretty mind-blowing. So let's watch this interview. How long have you had your Tesla for?
Just about 7 years next month.
And what's the battery like?
So I've lost about 10.5% over the 7 years and 194,000 kilometres.
Wow, okay, so 10.5%, and he's done over 194,000 kilometers. Like, that is a lot of kilometers. As I mentioned earlier, our last car was 20 years old and it did not even get to 180,000 kilometers. So that is a really, really long way, and it's only degraded by 10.5%, which isn't that much in the grand scheme of things. So you haven't had to replace the battery at all?
No replacement needed at all at any point.
A lot of people like to spread a lot of fear and misinformation when it comes to EVs, saying that you will have to replace your battery if you do get an EV, but as we can see from the warranty and also these examples of the battery health, that might not necessarily be the case.
I have saved at $1.50, rounding for $1.50, I've saved about 54,000 in fuel, 18,000 in brakes, and about $6,000 worth of servicing in that time. So yeah, significant savings over the 7 years.
Those are some really decent savings from having an EV. This is from somebody who does drive their car quite a lot. So I would say if you don't drive your car as much, the savings won't be as dramatic as his example, but it can show you that if you do regularly drive your car, it can save you quite a lot of money having an EV. So now we've spoken about the things that I love about this car, let's get into some really juicy things and the things that I don't like about this car. So the first thing that I don't like about this car is you kind of have to, when you're driving, glance down on the screen to check the speed that you're going at. And this can be quite annoying and something that you're not used to if you are used to just driving a regular car. Another thing that I don't like is when you are on a busy highway, the map function of the Tesla, sometimes it's not entirely clear which lane you need to go into because the navigation isn't as smooth as some other navigation models. I did recently test drive the BYD Seal, and these two things that I dislike about the Tesla, they have fixed up those things in the BYD Seal. So it's really clear when you are navigating on a highway which lane you need to go into. And I really love that about the BYD Seal. Also, when you're driving the BYD Seal, you can see the speed that you're going at really clearly on the dashboard. And they also do have the speed reflected in the windscreen. So you don't even have to take your eyes off the road and you can see the speed that you're going at. So those are some things that I do dislike about the Tesla Model Y. Another thing that I don't like, or I guess I'm a little bit torn about, is that they do keep on dropping the prices of Teslas every year or whenever they can. And I'm in two minds about this because on one hand, I think it's a really good thing because when they keep on dropping the prices, it means that more people can buy Teslas, there'll be more Teslas on the road. And that's also a really good thing because more people will be driving eco-friendly cars because it will be more affordable for people to buy them. So I think it's a really good thing overall. The downside of that, of course, is that people that already own Teslas, the value of their car will depreciate as well. So that's one thing to be mindful of. when you do buy a new car, obviously you do need to factor in depreciation. A lot of cars, unfortunately, are not appreciating assets, so you do need to account for the depreciation when you do buy a car like this. Another con is you do need to plan more when you are taking a long road trip. To be honest, this hasn't really been a big issue for us. The only time that it's been, I guess, more of an issue is we usually do trips maybe like 1 hour or 2 hours away, and for those trips, the Tesla is honestly perfect because you just need to stop once, and maybe you only need to stop for like 20 minutes or so to top up your battery and then go to your place. The only time that it was a bit more challenging is we did this road trip from Sydney and to this place that was like 3.5 hours away. Like, it was really far away from Sydney, and in that road trip it was a bit more challenging because it was a very remote area. There were no Tesla chargers around the Airbnb that we were staying at, and the only Tesla charger was a lot closer to Sydney, so it was maybe like an hour away from Sydney. So we had like 2.5 hours where we had very limited Tesla chargers. So that's one thing that you do need to consider. I think having a Tesla is really amazing if you are living around the city. There's so many facilities, it's very easy to find a charger. But if you do live in a bit more of a remote area and you can't charge your car at home, it can be a little bit more challenging. Another con is having to buy this Type 2 charger, especially if you do want to be able to charge your car absolutely everywhere. That being said, most chargers do have the cable already attached. It's only a couple of chargers here and there, especially if you go to like shopping centers and they have free chargers there. Sometimes those free chargers don't have the charging cables, so having to buy this extra cable is also like an annoying thing if you do want to make the most of those free chargers available. And I'll just show you the EV charger that we have. So we have this one. It's $209 for the Type 2 charger. The reason why we bought this was because there was this shopping center that we were living close to. This was before we had a place where we could charge our car at home when we were living in that apartment. And yeah, we bought this charger so that we could make the most of the free charging spot that was available because they didn't have a charging cable in that spot. But the good news was you could still charge your car for free. So yeah, I guess it depends. So those are the things that I don't like about the Tesla, but all things said and done, I do really love this car. Overall, I think it's great. Nothing is perfect, and even though it does have issues like anything does, these are things that I can live with. So exciting news, Tesla has just unveiled the brand new Tesla Model Y. So let's go through it and see what's different, and I'll give you my honest thoughts about it. So the main thing that they've changed in the new Tesla Model Y is they have redesigned the front and the rear with new light bars, and they've also improved the aerodynamics of the car. I honestly really love the look of the new Tesla Model Y. I think that the Model Y that I have, it kind of looks like a stretched out, blown up Model 3, and I really love this new Tesla Model Y because it does look a lot more sleek. They've really thought about the design, and I honestly just think it looks really beautiful, and I definitely do prefer it to the model that I have. I am getting a bit jealous here, a bit envious of this one. It looks so good. It also comes in a new color, which is Glacier Blue, which I honestly love the color of this Glacier Blue. I think it looks really beautiful, looks very sleek. It's kind of like, it's blue, but it's not too blue, which looks really nice. They've also got a new camera on this model, which is a front bumper camera. And this is the first for Tesla outside of the Cybertruck. And this is a really cool feature for all the parents out there. It even comes with this little entertainment screen for people in the back seat, so you can entertain your kids on long road trips. For the launch of the new Tesla Model Y, they have increased the price, but they could decrease it after a couple of months. And I have put a link in the description below if you would like to book a test drive. But I'm curious to hear from you. What do you think about the new Tesla Model Y? What do you think about Tesla cars in general? I would love to hear from you. And don't forget, if you'd like to start budgeting, you can check out Fillory, which is the platform that I've built to do all of your budgeting. So whether it's saving for your dream car or saving for your dream home, we've got you covered. And write me a comment below with the word electric in it, just so we know you watched this video all the way through. Thank you.